Okay, hello and welcome to BundesSpeaker, the podcast from us at Fresh Off the Gegenpress. It's been a week since we last spoke to you, and a lot can happen in a week. A lot can change. So we're gonna stick with the format from last week, which was to look a little bit at the results from the weekend, and then we're gonna look forward to next weekend at the end. In the middle, we're gonna throw in a few Pokal results, a few interesting matchups from Wednesday night's games, a couple of things that have come out from that, and we're just going to have a bit of a wander. There's a lot of games, a lot of interesting things going on at the moment. It's a very busy schedule, so rather than going in depth on a team, because at the moment we all know who's in form, who's not in form. So we're going to have a look at fixtures and how they've gone, and maybe have a look at some of the results and what was surprising. So I'm Ali. I'm here again with Axel,
I
and yeah, Axel's off to New York tomorrow, which isn't too bad, is it?
no.
You'll cope
Okay.
with that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm just going to throw in right at the start. I conceded defeat gracefully for the Reading Arsenal game last night.
Mm,
Um, I'll accept the result.
fair enough.
Mm. Right. Okay. So without further ado, we should probably get on and have a look at some of the results from last weekend. So we said initially that the top spiel, the best game of the weekend, Hertha Berlin and Erste FC Köln. Which remind me, Axel, where were you when that game was going on?
um, well, Charlottenburg, Berlin, at the Olympiastadion, at the Ostkurve, and had a time of my life, to be honest. The night before, I watched Frankfurt absolutely rip Hamburg apart in Hamburg,
Yeah.
and then I was lucky enough to actually get tickets to this game, which once again lucky enough turned out to be a top spiel. And so yeah, it was a great game. Apart from a few chain smokers right beneath us on the stand. But yeah,
There's always a few chain smokers in the standing bits.
yep, you can't have it all, can you?
Just gotta like find a new way to breathe out the side of your mouth.
Yeah, basically like some kind of might bring some tube with me next time.
Like a fish,
Stand.
just need to develop gills
Yeah,
on the side of your face rather than on
why
the
not?
front.
Why not? Yeah, it's. I'll just have to be innovative and find new ways of breathing. That's
Yeah.
no worries. Yeah, fantastic game. Wow, 5-1 on 34 minutes. Okay. Oh yeah. Um, yeah. Okay. So it was a really good game, really interesting game, really interesting matchup from the beginning, and Berlin were probably a bit better in the first half. They won a ball high up the field and created quite a few chances with, especially with their wingers, Weiss and Haraguchi, creating most of these chances. While Ibisevic and Kalou weren't too impressive in the first half, apart from Ibisevic scoring a goal. I didn't think Ibisevic did that much. I didn't contribute too much to Berlin's play, but he really does. So I mean, that's his role to be there when he's needed, and he was. He scored a good goal, a neat finish from low vice cross. So
Yeah.
yeah, very good first half from Berlin, and second half Cologne started off well, lot better than the first half, and they got themselves a goal in the middle of the second half. I think it was like 60th minute or something, through Anthony Modeste, who is now at the top of the scoring shots, I think, with
Yeah.
8 goals, which
8 and 8.
is yeah, eight
First
and eight.
player in first player in a long time to do that for Cologne. I think it was the 90s, maybe.
Well,
If I remember seeing. Yeah, first player to score 8 at the start of the season for a while.
that's
He's
fantastic.
in red hot form. Really good striker at the moment. He's one of the big reasons why they're so far up the table.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and yeah, I mean, apart from a few amazing saves from Timo Horn, I if it was for him, I think um, I never think that Cologne would have lost by like 4 goals to nil or 4 goals to 1, because the first half and the beginning of the second half, Hertha Berlin were dominant in most parts of the field and created lots of chances. And then through a bit of a slip up in defense, Close scored, and then they gained momentum and started pressing high and almost got themselves a second goal. But then Nika Stark finishes off by I think it's like first goal ever in Bundesliga.
Really?
And right in front of the Ostkurve where we were. So very nice experience, nice game. As always in Bundesliga, it's a nice experience.
Mm.
I was very happy, very well spent
Yeah.
money, and yeah, good game, and it lived up to the hype.
Mm. Yeah, cool. So then what else? So for me, obviously the exciting result was Sunday, Schalke winning 3-0 against Mainz, and yeah, that's a nice way to head into the week, I have to say, with a like sort of you go to sleep on Sunday night feeling good after a solid 3-0 victory. It was impressive as well. I was talking to my brother actually, and we both said, Where on earth did that come from?" But not going to complain. They've gone three wins in 3 games now, so not conceded a goal in any of them. Just perfect, really. It's what you need. 4 goals against Gladbach, one against Krasnodar in the Europa League, and then 3 against Mainz. So it's been a high-scoring week. So beware Nuremberg in the Freundschaftsspiel. So the clubs in Germany sometimes have these friendships that they develop, and they have them with clubs in other countries as well. But there's a lot of sort of teams that have friendships. So Bochum are friends with Bayern Munich, for example. So Schalke and Nuremberg have this long-standing fan friendship, and they're playing each other tonight in the cup. So there's a nice sort of, I don't know. It's a very friendly game, I guess. As friendly as cup knockout matches can get. Um, Idealistic, but yeah. So that was an exciting way for me to finish the weekend. But for most people, I think the best game was probably the Ingolstadt Dortmund 3-3.
Mm, yeah.
Um, that was, I mean, Pulisic's equaliser. It was one of those that felt inevitable, but at the same time, if you concede 3 goals against Ingolstadt, that's worrying. That has to be worrying form for Dortmund.
Yeah. I mean, considering that their defense hasn't looked good all season, and this kind of confirms this. Um, um, so yeah, I mean, it, it doesn't look good for them at all in defense. In attack, of course, lots a lot better, but they have struggled quite a lot in attack as well in recent games, and so I'm surprised by how much they're struggling, and I can now see why you didn't believe in them at the start, and I right now can't comprehend why I did believe in them at the beginning. So yeah, I mean,
I
hard.
think a lot of the time you get blinded, and I'm guilty of this as well with other teams. But you get blinded at the start of the season by who they bought.
Yeah,
They've bought very well, and they've got some very good players in, but that doesn't get past the fact that they're building in basically an entire new matchday squad. They haven't lost too many of the key ones, other than their main centre back and their main centre midfielder. But
mm,
like even if you're sort of improving the level of your bench, those players need to come in and play every so often, and they need to fit in, and they need to integrate, and they need to know how everyone else plays. And like, I might have got this one right. There are plenty that I'll have got wrong, but for me, Dortmund from the start of the season were going to be struggling with this inconsistency, players not knowing each other, not knowing where they make their runs. I think come the end of the season, they'll be absolutely fine, but by that point, they'll probably be too far behind.
yeah,
And then it depends what happens next season. The whole rumor mill with Aubameyang starts again. Everyone starts looking at Royce again. Like, Dortmund seriously need to stop being a selling club. If they do that, then next season I see no reason why they can't be the champions. But this season, for me, from the start has been too much. But yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Cool. And then we were going to give a little side mention to Freiburg Augsburg, which was maybe not the most exciting or most highly anticipated game of the weekend. Two nice southern German clubs. I have a lot of respect for both of them. They're very easy to like. They're sort of small and successful and underdogs, and that's what everyone loves in football. And Freiburg's home win was their 10th in a row,
Yeah.
stretching back to Zweite Bundesliga last year, which is it's impressive. Their home form, as everyone always says, if you're a newly promoted team, win your home games and you probably stay up. So they've certainly started the season in the right form.
Yeah. Freiburg has really transformed Schwarzwaldstein into something special, to their kind of a romantic castle, so to speak, in a way. And I remember when Frankfurt faced this QQ like a month ago, a few weeks ago, and beforehand I was quite positive about the game. I was thinking like, okay, a point is more than possible, 3 points, yeah, why not? But knowing, if I would have known that their form at home was this good, and well, I mean, Schottenstein has somehow become a fortress. It's so hard to play at, and so hard to play well at,
Mm.
in a way, because I mean it's tight. The stands are very close to the pitch, and the players really feel at home, and the fans are really familiar with the club and the stadium, and so yeah, I mean, Freiburg is certainly a home side to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
But away, not too much.
Well, it's less important to be good away. Like,
Yeah.
especially if you're a team that the main goal this season for them is to stay up. And really, if you can win most of your home games, it doesn't matter what you do away from home. That should be enough to keep you up. And
Yeah.
The reason Villa got relegated was because they were terrible all over the shop rather than because they were bad away from home. So, Cool. Well, I guess that leads in nicely because Augsburg could have really have done with a win because they've got a pretty tough week. Not many teams in footballing history can say they had to play Bayern Munich home and away within 4 days of each other. But that's exactly what Augsburg have got this week. So after losing away at Freiburg last week, they're away at Bayern in the cup this evening, in the Bavarian derby, which is it's always a good one actually. Augsburg bring their A game to the Munich clash. It's a big one for their fans. So I don't know. I think Bayern fans are probably more bothered by the Dortmund match and the Champions League really, but Augsburg fans see this as the big one. This is the game that will be seen as their derby over the course of the season. So to have 3 rather than 2 as usual is always going to be a positive. So tonight they head to the Allianz Arena, and I think it's Saturday. Yeah, and on Saturday afternoon they welcome Bayern in the return fixture. So that's see what went wrong tonight and what you can improve on for next game doesn't really apply. So that's an interesting one. There were a couple of good games actually. The Nuremberg Schalke game I mentioned, and Dortmund are playing one of the old East Berlin clubs, or one of the Union Berlin from the East. And actually, one game that's live at the moment is Hanover against Fortuna, which coming up to the 40th minute is 5-1 to Hanover. And I mean, we're not even keeping up with this, so it could be more than that already. But and in one of the other games that's currently going on, Astoria Waldorf are hosting Darmstadt, Bundesliga Darmstadt, and they're 1-0 up. So that's exciting. We've got another potential giant killing on our hands there.
But possibly even worse, considering sort of Waldorf are like in the 5th division.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's even worse. I mean, Sportfreunde Lotte, a team I'm personally very, very fond of, since I wrote about them a few months ago.
Axel's been waiting for this for the whole thing, by the way.
Yeah.
For like at least a week, he's been waiting to talk about Sportfreunde Lotte.
Yep. Yeah, at least. And I mean, it's such a cool club. And when I wrote about them in my Hipster Choice of August, I think it was,
Yeah.
I was amazed by how small the club was. I think it's the smallest club in the three highest leagues, and I mean, in regards of members and stadium and such. And it's so cool to see such a club just step up and well play the game against whichever team they face. And I think Sportsman Lotto's manager said this after their win against Leverkusen yesterday, that say a farmer could coach the team. That's how good they are, more or less. Because I mean, it's like they play their game and they know their game, and it doesn't matter who they face, they play their game, and it actually often works. And I think they're like second in the Bundesliga, which is kind of amazing, seeing they were just promoted and seeing how small the club is. So kudos to the manager, kudos to the players, and to the fans, and it's so cool to see when something like this happens, and especially when it's like it is really a story of David versus Goliath, because Leverkusen is like this big club with lots of cash, lots of money to spend, and owned by a $1 billion company in Bayer, while Lotte is like a club that on their site has and on the site where they display all the players, they have a tab that says family and what they like to do on their spare time. That's like the that's how different these two clubs are, and that's why it's so amazing how a small club like Lotte can actually win against Leverkusen. It's the magic of the cup, magic of the cow. And if that would happen tonight with Waldorf, as well Waldorf, well, that's special.
Yeah.
That's
Well, they're halfway there. It's reached half time in that match now. So, yeah, the Sportfreunde are fourth in the Dritte Liga at the moment. But they're joint on points with Ireland in third. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's good. It's good to see the smaller teams doing well. I mean, we've got Sandhausen beat Freiburg. I mean, Hallescher really let themselves down by not beating Hamburg, really, if we're being honest.
Yeah, horrible.
And then 1860 in Würzburger was a second division tie, so I guess that doesn't really count. But Heidenheim are currently holding Wolfsburg at halftime, and Greuther Fürth are currently holding Mainz at halftime as well. So there's a couple of the smaller teams. We'll see if Union can keep check on Dortmund in a bit. And yeah, Schalke and Nuremberg, which, it's friendly. So if Nuremberg win, then Schalke will let them win, and if Schalke win, then Nuremberg will let them win. So it doesn't really count,
Yeah.
Everyone will go home happy, probably.
Yep. Right.
Cool. So that's the Pokal ticked off, I think.
Yep.
So I guess leading on from Nuremberg, Schalke, and Union Dortmund, best way to start our preview for next week, unless you want to talk about Roger Schmidt a little bit before we move on.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, go on.
Amazing comments. While one of my favorite men alive right now, Niko Kovac, of course, he claimed that he thought the punishment and the hype around Roger Schmidt was a bit too much and a bit too excessive. On the contrary, I think it's horrible. I mean, as a manager, you shouldn't say things like that to another manager. Now, this thing he said wasn't that horrible. It was, I mean, sure, it was nice, but I mean, I'm sure quite a few players have said worse things to each other, but they are most often sent off if the referee gives that. And in this case, he was rightly sent off because, I mean, it's football. You shouldn't scream verbal abuse to the other manager, and it's not the first time that Roy Schmidt has made things difficult for himself. I remember last season when he refused to take the stance after he was sent off, and the referee had to take the ball and, like, well,
Yeah, I remember that. He had to threaten to leave the pitch, didn't he?
Yeah. Well,
Took the players off.
I think they did.
They actually did in the
Yeah,
end.
it did. I think the game was like called off for 10 minutes until Roy Schmidt was. Well, I think Rudy Fuller talked him into actually agreeing with it. But after this and after losing to Hoffenheim, after losing to Sportfreunde Lotte, I can see Roger Schmidt actually feeling a bit loose at the moment, being a bit unsecure in his situation, his position at Leverkusen, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if he actually was. I think like it only takes like one more defeat in the next 3 or 4 games for him to get fine. I'm sure of that. And the problem is Leverkusen, if he is fine, who will they bring in? Because there are no better out there than Roger Schmidt, considering that Favre left for Nice and he's doing wonders with Nice. That's it. I mean, I wouldn't recommend Leverkusen to like appoint Bruno Labbadia or Skripnik. That would be horrible. That would be
I don't think anyone. I would recommend that to nobody.
Spurs. Me. Well,
Fair enough.
yeah. Other than that, no. So, I mean, that's the problem with me. If they do fire him, who do they bring in? Who do they appoint? There's no one. And while there is kind of a buzz among football fans and supporters and kind of this hype that why not bring in a youth team coach like Bremen did, like Gladbach did, like Wolfsburg did now. And while this might work, it works in a few cases. It worked with Hoffenheim when you brought in Nagelsmann. Wonders for them. Seems to be working for Bremen. Works okay for Gladbach. Worked very well in the beginning, but now when they are off the honeymoon, so to speak, it's going mediocre, I should say. But they could do that, but it wouldn't be sensible to fire Roy Schmidt unless he like misconducts down time.
Yeah.
But right now, I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think it's a good plan.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, yeah, I can't see them getting rid of him anytime before Christmas. If they do decide, then if they do decide they want a new trainer, then I think it's going to be during the winter break. I can't. At this point in the season, they've got really big Champions League games coming up.
Yeah,
the team isn't playing badly, but it also, yeah, I mean, it's obviously not playing well considering where they are in the table, etc. But they're not playing so badly that you feel like a change of managers needed. They played well against Spurs in the first game.
Yeah.
So I think they'll leave it until Christmas because realistically, Leverkusen probably won't get knocked out of the Champions League at this point.
No.
Probably. And their season's not going completely downhill. So I think they'll hold on for a while at least. But
yeah.
Cool. All right. So with that, we will move on. Leverkusen have got Wolfsburg this weekend, which is the plastic derby.
Yeah.
Although it's only a derby to everyone else. It's one of those weird sort of to those fans, it's not a derby because they wouldn't recognise it as like a there's no reason for it to be a derby for them.
Yeah.
Like a plastic derby is like, well, they're not. Well, like we're not trying to be the best plastic team. Why would you call us a plastic team? So it's a bit of an odd one, but
Yeah.
yeah. So sort of in, sort of out of form. Leverkusen go to very, very out of form Wolfsburg, whose change of manager hasn't really. It didn't do a lot on the weekend, did it? 3-1 defeat to Darmstadt was. It's never the right way to go. Um, so that's an interesting one. How do you see that one panning out? I'm like personally, I see that being a very, very stale 0-0. But then I don't know. Maybe do you see that differently?
I remember a few years back, I think like 2 seasons ago, when these teams faced in Leverkusen and was like 5-4. Heung-min Son scored a hat trick and Bastov scored. No, Heung-min Son scored 4 goals. I think Bastov scored a hat trick, and it was like one of those games where you just feel the love for Bundesliga. It's goals galore. But that was a time where both Leverkusen and Wolfsburg had functioning attacking qualities. Because at the moment, they have the qualities required to score 5 goals in quite a few games. But it's just not working for either. Leverkusen haven't been impressive at all in attack. From time to time, yeah, when it clicks, it does really click. It looks amazing, but it's been rare this season. And Wolfsburg, yeah, horrible attack wise, and defensively as well at times. But considering both teams need a win, and considering both teams are more or less without a manager for the game, more or less.
Yeah.
Not really, but and it will. I can see like 0-0 possibly, but I can also see like 3-3, 4-4, or something. Some crazy result.
It's the sort of game where you expect both teams to be so bad that it ends up being quite good.
Yeah.
I mean, neither team can defend. I don't know. Like Wolfsburg have kept a few clean sheets this season.
Yeah.
They obviously struggled on Saturday when they got Bruma sent off pretty early on, but I don't know. It's one of those where I can't. Usually, I would say yeah, loads of goals in this one. They're two very attacking sides. There's a lot of talent on both squads. Just the way things are going for both of them at the moment, I can't see it being the sort of the classic end-to-end goals all over the shop that it usually is, especially with the cup game this week and then the Champions League for Leverkusen next week. I can't see them committing a huge amount of energy to the Wolfsburg game if they don't have to.
Right.
But then again, every game's key. So that's that one. That's the plastic derby. Then I want to leave the real derby till the end. We'll talk about the real derby at the end. Finish on a high. The two Hoffenheim and Hertha, the two Sunday matches, Hoffenheim against Hertha and Cologne against Hamburg. One of those is definitely one I would watch. The other one is definitely one I wouldn't. I want you to take a guess. Which one do you think?
Well, probably Hoffenheim Hertha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yay.
I mean, there's two teams right at the top of the table playing well at the moment. Hertha obviously suffered defeat to Cologne, but they looked good in the process. In a weird sort of... Sorry, they beat Cologne, didn't they?
Yeah.
Sorry, getting that wrong. Cologne suffered defeat, but anyway, we'll come back to that. So Hertha beat Cologne, and they're looking good, and they're looking set, and Hoffenheim have been very impressive so far. So there's two teams that have surprised and are being very successful so far. Sandro Wagner has been scoring for Hoffenheim, and Ibisevic on that goal against Cologne made him the 6th highest foreign scoring player in Bundesliga history.
Oh.
Which is pretty impressive. I think it was his 89th Don't quote me on that, but I think it was 89 goals he scored, and yeah, one of the highest scoring foreigners of all time. So that's a pretty impressive record for a reason. He's getting on a bit now in his career, but still scoring, still impressively scoring goals, and he's so key for Hertha. Like as you said, he doesn't necessarily bring much to the rest of the game, but he really does when it comes to goal scoring. It was a very odd, sort of player. Just sort of scores a lot and then that's it. Sort of that's his trademark on the game done, and he'll sort of wander around for the rest of it. But it was very strange that Stuttgart let him leave. To be honest, he's such a he would have been the sort of leader they needed as well up front in the season they got relegated. So for them to go, now we don't need him, Hertha can have him. That was strange. Yeah, Hoffenheim will hope to keep their form up as well, keep their well, I guess at the moment Champions League dreams, but European dreams at least alive. And then the other Sunday game is Cologne Hamburg, which Hamburg can't score, and Cologne don't concede many. So Modest versus Hamburg's defense. I don't know which one will win that.
Hat trick.
Yeah, it unless something very, very strange happens, that will probably be pretty one-sided and not a lot of fun. Were there any others? We mentioned the Augsburg Munich game. Your favourites, Eintracht Frankfurt are away in Gladbach. That'll be a good one. It's a good test for both teams to see where they're where they're really at.
It's interesting to say the least. I'm intrigued by the prospect of us actually doing something in Gladbach, because Gladbach had not looked good in recent games, and we have looked very, very good. So on form, I think we could absolutely cause an upset. We could cause an upset in Gladbach, but the problem is Gladbach's home form. They haven't lost in like 20 games or something like that at home, so it will be tough. But and this exact game, I watched this exact game last season at Borussia Park, and Frankfurt lost 3-0. But then Frankfurt were not too good. It was Kovac's first game charge, and Gladbach were on form, and now it's more or less the opposite. Kovac has certainly settled, and we are playing good football. Actually, we're actually playing good football. Eintracht Frankfurt are playing good football, which is good to see.
Yeah.
While Gladbach, as I said, have struggled, especially in defense, and I'm pretty sure we can exploit that if we just do it right and play our game like we've done in the last few games. So I could see us causing an upset.
Well, I don't even know if it would be an upset, really. I mean, Frankfurt started the season so well, getting a 2-2 draw with Bayern, so there's no reason why they couldn't. And I'm not even, as I say, I wouldn't necessarily say that you were underdogs going into that, other than the fact it's an away game in a very, very difficult stadium to go to, and Borussia Park's notoriously difficult to take anything away from. But I think that'll be a good game. That's one to watch on Friday night, certainly. But then the main event this weekend, there's only really one thing. I'm going to dominate it, the preview. Dortmund at home to Schalke. There we go. Revier derby, the biggest derby in Germany. Anyone else can argue that, but for me, this is the one. This is the one that everyone, especially where I was living last year, this is the one everyone cares about. Bayern Dortmund is always like a can Dortmund upset Bayern. It's like the classicers. It's who cares? This is it. The two teams from about they're separated by about an hour max. Two of the biggest clubs in German history. Dortmund obviously been more successful in recent times, but I personally think this is probably the best time for Schalke to be going there. It's a busy run of fixtures, but they're on a good run of form. they're coming in. If they could win again tonight, that would be 4 wins on the spin. Another clean sheet would be good as well. So they're doing well, but Dortmund haven't really hit their stride yet. So I mean, they started really quickly and then they lost their form, and at the moment they're not the impressive Dortmund that we're used to. So it could be a good time for Schalke to go there. And would it would be surprising if they took anything from it. It would be even more surprising if they took a win from it, or kept a clean sheet. Like they do look like they've got goals. There's the potential that they could concede goals, even though they've kept those clean sheets in the last three. But Dortmund's, Aubameyang is always going to be a threat, and up against Nastasic and Naldo, who's been a bit error prone so far this season. I can see there definitely being goals in it for Dortmund, but they seem to have found a system that's working, even if no one can work out what it is. I still don't know whether Hervedes is playing as centre back as part of five or right back, because Schöpf in the last game was sort of right wing back, but not really, and in the Europa League, Konoplyanka definitely wasn't the left wing back because Baba was playing left wing back. But then where was he playing? Because like left midfield didn't seem to be a thing because there wasn't a right midfielder. So it was very it's very confusing. They seem to send it seems to be a quite like not lopsided, but every time they send the team out, there's sort of someone that doesn't fit into the formation. So Sunday it was Hervedes. In the Europa League, it was Konoplyanka, but I don't know what they're doing. It's interesting though, and it seems to be working, and the players seem to be responding to this sort of flexibility. I think almost there's more. Well, whatever you see in front of you, play it how you see it, and that could really seriously backfire against Dortmund, or it could go really well. It's worked so far.
Maybe the tactic of Weinzel is to just confuse opponents.
Yeah,
Who plays left midfield? No idea. Oh well. And then
yeah.
and then
It could
something
potentially
happens and
be something like that.
yeah, well, it's a very interesting tactic. It's not pressing, it's confusing.
Yeah.
Gegen confusing. Not to fresh off the Gegen confusing.
Yeah. I feel like that's convoluting it a bit, but I like getting confusing this.
Yeah, I mean, game confusing. Why not? I would say that's a thing. To be honest, I think we could say that's the tactic, game confusing. But yeah, that could backfire at Dortmund. And while I don't think it will, I actually back Schalke in this. Oh, Schalke at home or
Schalke away.
away. Okay, at Dortmund.
Yeah.
Okay, because personally, probability of Naldo this season, I would put Naldo in my worst 11 of the season, because every game I watched, he's been absolutely horrendous. Nastasic has been very, very good. Hervedes, I haven't noticed too much
Hervedes
of.
has been Hervedes. It's not been anything particularly like wow, but it's good.
Okay, yeah. Because against Naldo, I guess, I mean, I could see them absolutely being smashed, but I could see them actually winning. I could see it's smashed, but I could see Dortmund winning with 3 goals to 0, but I could see Schalke winning with the same goals. However, as it's in Dortmund, and Dortmund haven't lost in was it like 30 games at home or something like that.
Yeah, it's a
It's
long time.
lots. So 2-2, 1-1, possibly 1-1, 2-2. 2-2
Yeah,
sounds good. I think Dortmund's
2-2
defense hasn't looked good. Schalke's defense has not looked good. Even if they have kept a few clean sheets.
Mm.
But as I said, against Naldo against the attackers of Borussia Dortmund, things can
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
But as I said, 2-2. I think I'm going with 2-2 in that game.
Yeah.
I think it's more than possible that both teams can win, but I don't think any team will win.
Yeah. That's it. I mean, as a Schalke fan, I would take that. I think sadly, I think it'll be 2-1 Dortmund.
Mm.
I don't know. Schalke have been scoring, but they only got one against Krasnodar, and they were reasonably well organised. And I think Dortmund are well enough organised that they're not going to score huge amounts. I'm gonna go for 2-1 to Dortmund, which, I hope you're right and I'm wrong. I mean, ideally they'll win, but yeah, we'll see. That's
So Hannover just scored 6-1 against
6-1.
in the 53rd minute.
Well, I reckon there's plenty of time. Yeah, I mean, if there's already been 7 goals after 50 minutes, there's plenty of time for Düsseldorf to get back in it yet.
Yeah, it is. Let's see. It was Sobiech in the 5th minute, Klaus in the 7th, Hanek in the 15th and the 16th. Then Akpoguma scored for Düsseldorf in the 20th, and then Klaus scored in the 34th, and Sebastian Mayer, who arrived from St. Pauli, someone we know, scored in the 53rd, like a few minutes ago. So, good game. Fun game to watch, I'm sure. German football.
I think Wolfsburg are ahead. Are they 7?
Yeah, Mario Gomez.
Yeah. I'm not sure about the others. I haven't.
It's Gomez' second goal in 2 games, which makes me wonder where he won't just score a brace against Leverkusen. Could be when he's on form, maybe he can do stuff. So why not?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Good. All right. Well, you can follow the Pokal on Twitter. Probably better than us doing sort of a live minute by minute thing on this when this isn't going out live. But yeah, it's certainly exciting so far. And then there's another 4, well, at least 3 really good games tonight, I think. Yeah, so it should be an exciting one, and it should be a good weekend of games as well. So keep your eyes open, keep watching. BT Sport have obviously got the rights in the UK. I don't know who shows it in Sweden.
Eurosport.
Eurosport. So
but not Eurosport 1, but Eurosport 2. So you have to
okay.
subscribe to Eurosport.
Okay.
Which I do, of course.
You have to subscribe to BT Sport as well. So
okay, I will. But I bought this Eurosport player. Means that I can watch any game I want.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So to our English fans, subscribe to BT Sport. To our Swedish fans, subscribe to Eurosport or whatever else you fancy like doing. Anyone in any other country, thanks for listening. I have no idea how you watch TV in your country. You'll have to work out yourself. But however you do it, whatever you use, whatever service, make sure you watch the Bundesliga. As I'm sure you've probably worked out, we think it's the best league in the world. Certainly the most intense. I don't think you can overlook the way the teams play. And this weekend's a bit sort of, I don't know. For me, it's a bit emotional. So I don't know if you've noticed. Hopefully, you have the background photo of the website. That's Schalke away at Dortmund last year. Pretty much exactly exactly a year ago. Maybe 3 weeks, 2 weeks out, but almost exactly a year ago today, I was sat in the Nordkurve at Dortmund watching the derby. So for me, this is kind of a bittersweet weekend. This is a reminder of a fantastic, game that I went to last year. Dortmund won 3-2, and an incredible atmosphere, probably the best atmosphere I've ever seen at a football match. But that bitterness of not being there to watch it this year. But enjoy the games this weekend. Axel, enjoy New York.
Thank you. I will.
And yeah, we will speak to you again. Well, probably not next week. I might speak to you next week. We'll see. I mean, Axel's going to be in New York, so it might be a solo recording from me. Sort of like Gary Barlow or Robbie Williams. I'll strike out on my own, completely fail, and wait for Axel to come back in a week's time. But we'll work out something. We might speak to you next week. Might just speak to you in 2 weeks. But yeah, It's been enjoyable as always, Axel. Do you
Same
want
to
to
you.
sign off? I will let you sign off this week. Let's do it. You can sign off from the BundesSpeaker podcast.
Okay, well, because I'm special, let's do it in the Swiss language, Romansch. Fin se ciao.